Hey everybody, I thought we would do a review for this next test we have coming up. So let's get to it. You should know what the ruling was in Barron versus Baltimore. You should know what the 14th Amendment says. You should know the case of Plessy versus Ferguson. You should know what the 13th Amendment did. You should know what the 15th Amendment did. You should know what the Civil Rights Act of 1964 did. You should know the case of Mapp versus Ohio, Weeks versus the United States. It's W-E-E-K-S. You need to know the Fourth Amendment. You need to know Miller versus California. You should know what appellate jurisdiction is. You should know what jurisdiction means. You should know what felonies are. You should know the jurisdiction of federal district courts and federal courts of appeal and the U.S. Supreme Court. You should know what amicus curiae means. You should know examples of civil law. You should know how many justices are on the Supreme Court. You should know what common law is. You should know what the First Amendment is. You should know Griswold versus Connecticut. You should know Roe v. Wade. You should know the case of, again, Barron versus Baltimore. You should know Schenck versus the United States and what doctrine that created. You should know what a writ of mandamus is. You should know what judicial review is and where did it come from. You should know de jure and de facto segregation. You should know Brown versus Board of Education. You should know Dred Scott versus Sanford. Again, you should know the Sixth Amendment, the Eighth Amendment. You should know Reynolds versus the United States, Engel versus Vitale, Edwards versus Aguillard. You should know Powell versus Alabama. You should know Furman versus Georgia. You should know what the rule of four is. You should know what Gideon versus Wainwright was. You should know Texas versus Johnson. You should know what a writ of certiorari is. You should know what senatorial courtesy is. You should know what a plea bargain is. You should know Miranda versus Arizona. You should know what an indictment is. And you should also know what statutory law is. So those are the things that you need to know for this test. And so we'll have another review for the final exam that I'll post probably sometime next weekend. In the meantime, I've redecorated my office. Hope everybody likes it. And I'll talk to you soon.